What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Happy Friday. We're at the end of another week and we head into a weekend of Premier League action. Manchester United back in action at Old Trafford against Spurs tomorrow. But first, of course, we've got to be talking about just who is the head coach going to be next season? Who is the next permanent head coach of Manchester United in the Premiership going to be? According to a new report from Simon Stone of BBC, he's mentioned several names that could be on the horizon, could be on the radar for Manchester United, including the likes of Thomas Tuchel, of course, the England manager, Carlo Ancelotti, the manager of Brazil, Julian Nagelsmann, the manager of Germany, even Mauricio Pochettino, head coach of the United States of America. Now, could any of them work? They're all international managers. We've got a World Cup on the horizon. Any deal to sort with them might be complicated to do prior to the World Cup if they're focused on the biggest sporting tournament in the world. And is that going to leave Manchester United time? Furthermore, what if they don't do well at the World Cup? What happens to their reputation then? Should we be looking at managers that are domestic? Should we be looking at managers that are managing at clubs in club football around the world? Names like Luis Enrique and others. Or is it a case of when you look at Michael Carrick, you say to yourself, wait, he's going to be here. He's going to have time in situ. In addition to that, he started very well. If he continues this form between now and the end of the season, would you even want to replace him? Those are the big questions for Manchester United. Those are the big questions and things to consider for Ineos right now as they think about their pursuit of who that new head coach is going to be. Who do you think it should be? Have you even made your mind up on who it's going to be yet? Is it going to be, or should it be Nagelsmann? Should it be Tuchel? Should it be Ancelotti? Should it be Pochettino? Should it be Luis Enrique? Or should it be Michael Carrick? Depending on how well he does between now and the end of the season. Think about it, folks. Think about it, folks. The reason I said folks is because Flex will be joining us shortly. He's currently actually recording a preview right now with Tobes. That's going to be coming out later today. Of course, Manchester United versus Tottenham at Old Trafford tomorrow. And hopefully Manchester United are going to make it 4 out of 4. 4 wins out of 4 under Michael Carrick in the Premier League. And only 1 win away from Frank getting a haircut. Could you imagine? He's going to be streamlined. He's going to have lost all of this weight from his body in terms of his hair follicles. What if I told you there was another way you could lose some weight from your body? What if I told you there's another way you can get streamlined and look your best? Well, you can. It's called Optimum. Roll VT.
Today's video is sponsored by our friends at Oxford Natural and their all-new natural supplement, Optimum Day and Night. Thousands across the UK, USA and beyond are smashing their health goals with Oxford Natural. Optimum Day gives you steady energy, curbs your cravings and keeps your metabolism firing all day. Optimum Night helps you relax, get restorative sleep, recover and keep burning fat while you rest. It's not a magic pill, but it will help you reach your health goals. Check out some of the incredible results. 2 of our own, OWEN, lost over 100 pounds in 10 months and KG dropped 30 pounds in 4 months. In 8 months, football legend Michael Owen lost 35 pounds and Robbie from AFTV, Don Robbie, lost over 80 pounds. And in 6 months, Anita, an award-winning immigration lawyer, lost 44 pounds and Linda, a law firm executive, lost over 50 pounds. No gimmicks, no needles, just results. Oxford Natural, let's get to work.
Yes, let's get to work indeed. As always, folks, you can scan that QR code right there. You can subscribe and save up to 70% off. You can get your Optimum Day, which is good for your weight loss goals. You can get your Optimum Night, which is good for your restorative sleep. As always, all the information is in the video description below. You can click the link, go to the landing page, find out everything you need to know, case studies, etc., etc. You can get Optimized today. You can get them individually or combined. And once again, folks, 1, 2, 3. Optimized. You can get, Optimized. Yes. So big up to everyone who has been utilizing that because, of course, remember, it's, as Flex mentions, it's not a magic pill. It's just a supplement to supplement a healthy lifestyle because that's also the important thing too. Now, before I do get into anything this morning, of course, as mentioned, Flex will be joining us shortly. Before we talk about coaches, before we talk about this weekend or what have you, of course, today is a very poignant one in the Manchester United world because, of course, Today, we remember the Munich air disaster and those that lost their lives or those that were affected. Today, Friday, the 6th of February, actually marks 68 years since the Munich air disaster. Of course, that fatal tragedy that claimed the lives of 23 people, including 8 Manchester United players, 3 officials. As the article says here, on that day in 1958, of course, we commenced the return journey home following a European Cup tie against Red Star Belgrade. And in a tragic turn of events, the team plane crashed in Munich shortly after being refueled. Now, it is considered to be Manchester United's darkest day in the history of the club. The Munich air disaster is and should be taught to anyone associated with Manchester United. We will never forget the flowers of Manchester. As it mentions here, each year thousands of fans attend memorial services at Old Trafford and Manchester Platz, the site of the crash, to pay tribute to those who sadly passed and also were affected or injured by it. There is going to be, as always, a period of time to pay respects today, Friday the 6th of February. The men's, women's and academy team fixtures closer to the anniversary. There will also be respects paid. So, for instance, tomorrow at Old Trafford, there'll be respects paid, of course, prior to the match. I'm assuming they'll probably wear black armbands as they do every single year. There will be a remembrance service at Old Trafford today from 2:45 till 3:15. That's GMT time. If you are in the area, you do wish to attend, you do wish to pay your respects, you can do so. You can go to the Munich clock. You can gather under there, which is the East Stand. It's about, if you do that, around 20 to 3, which is what they're saying. And the service is going to be starting about 5 minutes later. There'll be lots of different things that happen there. The Reverend John Boyers is going to lead the service. There's going to be a roll of honor, readings, poems from journalist and supporter Andy Mitten. Of course, everyone knows Andy Mitten, of course. United We Stand fanzine, in charge of that, of course, also part of the Athletic too. There's going to be Manchester United Foundation participants, representatives from the under-13 girls and boys academy teams. Sammy McElroy is going to be there, of course, Manchester United legend as well. Senior club officials will also be in attendance to lay wreaths under the Munich clock too. So, like I said, if you are in the area, if you are local, you do wish to pay your respects, you can do so. Just gather under the Munich clock at the East Stand around 20 to 3 today. And as always, folks, the flowers of Manchester, they will never be forgotten. We will always remember. It's important to always remember the past, remember the journey, and remember those, like I said, that were sadly lost, affected by the disaster, by the tragedy. And really, it's one of the most remarkable stories of resilience in not even, football history or sporting history, just like, I guess, just human history. The idea of something that tragic happening to, a group of individuals, and the comeback from that, of course, the stories of, Sir Matt Busby laying up in the hospital while Jimmy Murphy, takes the team and what have you. It's a remarkable story. And I think any Manchester United fan should read up on it, understand the heritage and understand the story, understand the resilience. And at some point today or over the weekend, maybe take a moment and just think, and pay tribute, even if it's in a silent way, to those affected by the Munich air disaster tragedy, because, as I said, history should never be forgotten. Right, what are we going to be talking about today? We are going to be talking about a possible, not necessarily a short list, but maybe names that are on the radar for the Manchester United permanent head coach position, even though Michael Carrick is technically permanent right now. But of course, we know he's got a contract to the end of the season. The plan as of right now is for Carrick to be here to the end of the season with his coaching staff, and then Manchester United hire a new long-term permanent head coach. Names continue to swirl about who could possibly be on a short list, who Manchester United could be interested in. It's going to be a bit of a challenging one this summer because, of course, the World Cup, meaning that everyone's focus, if they have a national team, if they're managing a national team, or if they're playing in a national team, will be on the World Cup, which could possibly mean that we don't really get a new head coach until after that. Even if there's a situation where something's agreed beforehand, sometimes it doesn't get released. Who's available for us as well, even from, if they're not an international manager, a manager or a head coach to set a club, what would that look like? Would it be worth sticking with Michael Carrick? That's what we're going to be discussing this morning. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe to United View if indeed you are new. As I mentioned, Flex will be joining us very shortly. So let's get into this here. This was an article written by Simon Stone. And like I said, it's not so much of a shortlist, more of a just kind of these are names that could be considered for this head coach position at Manchester United following Michael Carrick. Now, Simon Stone has said highly rated coaches likely to be on Manchester United's radar for the permanent head coach role include the likes of Thomas Tuchel, Carlo Ancelotti, Mauricio Pochettino, and Julian Nagelsmann. Now, you may say, oh, and they're all international managers. Well, this is why it's important to always go to the article, always go to the source material, as it was, because he's kind of here. He's talking in the article more about names that will be on the radar, but World Cup names that will be on the radar, right? So he basically goes through in the article the history of us with interims, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer effect. There little wonder, of course, he's won these 3 games in a row. So he says, little wonder, there are some observers who already think United should give Carrick the job permanently. Most still caution against. For now, United themselves, as Simon Stone says, are staying silent. The reason why it's because of this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation, right? Where, the only defeat in 17 games for Ole was at home against Paris Saint-Germain. 3 weeks later, of course, the night in Paris, we overturned that. And then, as I said, 3 weeks later, Solskjaer's given a 3-year contract. But this is a situation whereby, by that point, the fatigue many felt around the Norwegian was bound to affect his players, given the extra work demanded of them had kicked in. United won 2 and lost 8 of their final 12 games. Bloody hell. Look at that. Bloody hell. A different man, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as Simon Stone says, is running football operations these days, but that historical example alone suggests United are better off waiting. Now, he mentions here about this World Cup scenario here. Another major reason to delay a decision is because a number of potential candidates who are currently in jobs will become available. In the Premier League alone, that includes the likes of Oliver Glasner, Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola, Fulham's Marco Silva. Yet Glasner is an example of how short-term results can affect long-term thinking. Of course, he won the Europa League at Eintracht Frankfurt, won the FA Cup to Crystal Palace, but things have also unraveled this season. At the same time, he's also lost a lot of players. There are 3 international managers. There are the international managers, he says here. Thomas Tuchel, of course, the England manager. Mauricio Pochettino inside of the US national side. Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil. Julian Nagelsmann. Highly regarded coaches on United radar. But hiring a national team boss around a major tournament is fraught with issues. And this doesn't really get spoken about enough, and it is true, as Simon Stone points out here. In 1990, so Bobby Robson, then just Bobby Robson, was referred to by some as a traitor for agreeing a post-tournament contract with PSV Eindhoven, even though he had been, absolutely slaughtered in the press for years prior. More recently and infamously, Julian Lopetegui was sacked by Spain 2 days before the beginning of the 2018 World Cup after Real Madrid confirmed he would be joining them after the tournament. If you recall that was a complete disaster. And then also, Lopetegui didn't even last that long at Madrid anyway. He was sacked a couple of months later, I think it was. It wasn't great. So there comes these complications of going after someone whose focus currently is on a national team. Do you get the full focus of them when it comes to transfers, players, and do you get this continuity that you're looking for? As Simon Stone says, speaking to a source of first-hand knowledge of appointing managers and coaching at club and international level, it became clear signing a contract with the likes of Tuchel before the tournament is not advisable. Says, quote, even if there are private conversations between senior club representatives and a coach at a major country, there is no way that can become a formal agreement pre-World Cup. If it came out, it would balloon in the face of whichever coach it was. It would be massively destabilizing. It's just not worth it. You can have discreet meetings. They happen all the time in football, but it would be much more beneficial to do groundwork. There are a few issues anyway. If they agreed privately with someone at the end of April, what would happen if Michael Carrick had a fantastic end to the season? Depending on how the World Cup went, good or bad, you must think of the impact it might have on the reputation. Manchester United have to let it breathe a little bit. This was something that James and myself were talking about last night on Trafford Talk when it comes to, all of this talk about a possible international manager, whoever it may be. If it is, let's say, Nagelsmann, or let's say it is Thomas Tuchel, they bring up a really good point there. What happens if they do well or they don't do well? You look at Louis van Gaal, for instance, when he became the Manchester United manager, that was agreed pre-tournament, and there wasn't really much backlash at the time. It wasn't like it was a thing that blew up in his face. The Netherlands went on to have a fantastic World Cup. They finished third, and actually, it gave a lot of Man United fans a lot of hope, really, because they were like, bloody hell, look at this. We're getting Louis van Gaal, and he's done great at the Netherlands. And look how well he's doing, and Van Persie scored an amazing diving header, and he's high-fiving him. That's going to be coming to Manchester United, right? Oh, it's going to be great. And then it doesn't really sort of translate, does it? If it was, speaking as obviously an England fan, it would be a bit conflicting. But if I did hear that pre-tournament, Thomas Tuchel, he's going to become the Manchester United head coach at the end of the World Cup, I would worry what impact that would have on the players at the World Cup, in that England squad, because they know that he's not in it for the long term. And how is that going to affect? And you would wonder how focused he is on the tournament and the job at hand, as opposed to what's coming in a couple of months' time. Because it must be just minimal. It'd be in the back of your mind, wouldn't it? It would have to be in the back of your mind, and you would have to be wondering things that are going on back in Manchester, and you'd be touching base a couple of times. So that would be something that would be a concern. So yeah, and then also if let's say England, let's say Thomas Tuchel does agree to become the Man United head coach. England get knocked out in the group stage in a World Cup where we're expected to do things and go quite far. Like, then what do we go? We go, oh, I tell you what, it's not looking good for him, is it? Well, look at that. Really, really struggled. He barely got out of the group. For Gareth Southgate, he was getting semi-finals and finals. What's going on there? Oh, I don't know. So, and then at the same time, if Thomas Tuchel, for instance, did go on to get to a final or win a World Cup, you think England are just going to be like, oh, right, yeah, you can go. Thank you. No problem. I mean, it's difficult to say also because a couple of these coaches, I know Tuchel, Tyrone mentions it in the chat, and a couple of others I forget. It feels like maybe they've just literally been hired for just to do this World Cup. So they've got contracts that a lot of international managers' contracts come up after major competitions, i.e. World Cup or Euros or Copa America, etc. So it could be a case, well, look, I'm leaving anyway, regardless of how well I do or don't do. I've just come to experience to manager in the World Cup, and then I want to go back to sort of club football, domestic football, because I don't want to be waiting months between managing games and being with my players and stuff like that. So maybe they are going to be on the way out. But this is it's still quite a delicate situation, isn't it? It's a delicate situation because there are so many different factors. There are these international coaches, if you are going to go for them, the World Cup, how well they do, how you go about that deal, going from international management to club management. You've also then got the situation of, well, what if Michael Carrick does well? Which is something we were talking about last night too on Trafford Talk. If Michael Carrick does really well, qualifies to the Champions League, let's say he finishes third, we only lose a couple of games between now and the end of the season, naturally there is going to be this feeling of, wow, if we get in Nagelsmann, is he going to do that? Is he going to be able to get those results? But at the same time, that's this season, as we've already seen, from one season to the next can be totally different. You look at Liverpool last season, Premier League champions. It just felt like they was going to roll over everyone. It felt like they were going to be the next team to dominate the league for the next decade with the money that they were spending. And they look miles off it. I don't think they've won in 5 games or what have you, right? So you never know. Michael Carrick, and this is the other thing, Michael Carrick could win every single game between now and the end of the season. And then the first game of next season comes around and it might all go to shit. So we're into this, it's always hypotheticals. And like any transfer, and a managerial appointment is no different. Like any transfer, there's risk versus reward, isn't there? And it's about mitigating and balancing that risk. How can what is the least, risky option, which is the one that's like least stabilized, and what's the best fit? Now, I know people obviously still saying, well, I don't care about any of these names that you've mentioned here. What about someone like Luis Enrique? If you could get Luis Enrique in, amazing. I still say I don't see that happening. I know that there have been those reports about his contract, those reports didn't even exist. They weren't true. And I think he's still got like 18 months on his contract still at PSG. I understand there's maybe a feeling of, well, what else is there to do? He's done everything at PSG, which is true. He delivered what nobody else could in that Champions League. But if I was him, I think that maybe the next step for PSG is, can you, right? You've become one of the best teams, in Europe, or last season you were the best team in Europe, but can you do that, sustainably? Can PSG get to that Real Madrid level where they're winning a Champions League like every other season, or can they do it a couple of seasons in a row? That might be the next one. As PJ there says in the chat, Pep could be leaving as well in the summer, which will attract names. So I think what Simon Stone is saying there in his article I think he is right with what he's saying there, where obviously right now we're in due diligence phase, aren't we? We're in due diligence phase. We're looking at who could be on the shortlist, who could be on the radar, but we're definitely not right not to rush in to anything yet. It's February. There's still plenty of time to figure this out, and there's still plenty of time just to see how things go as well with Carrick, because it might become undeniable for Carrick too. It really might. If he imagine, like, this is why I push back on the Roy Keane thing when he's like, if he wins every game between now and the end of the season, he still shouldn't get the job. Who are we to say that? Because that's easy to say now, but at the end of the season, if that was the case, of course everyone would be claiming for Michael Carrick to get the job. So I really don't know. If you ask me today about who the head coach is going to be, actually let me know in the chat. One word answer. Just give me a name. First game of next season. Who is the Manchester United head coach going to be? If I had to pick one right now, that is really tough. Really, really tough. Well, to be honest, if you had to say who is the favorite to get it right now, it would probably be Carrick, because he's in situ, isn't he? He's the one that can control things at the moment. I think he's got the best chance of getting it right now, because the future is in his hands, isn't it? Really, the future is in his hands, because if he delivers and does well, then maybe he's got the best chance of getting it. But it's only 3 games into that. It's only 3 games into it, and there's still a lot to happen. A lot. Like, I mentioned before with Carrick, he will lose games, I think, at some point. Hopefully not this weekend, but it's football, it's sport. He's going to lose at some point, and I just wonder what that reaction is going to look like, because we have a history, us as fans, of losing our minds very, very quickly. And I think the moment that Michael Carrick loses a game, he will go from, this manager actually, I tell you what, he's Carrick at the moment was doing really well, to, that's why Middlesbrough got rid of him. That's why Middlesbrough got rid of him. You're not good enough. Because we do it with players, don't we? We do it with players. If they have a bad game, they should never play for Manchester United again. How dare they? And Michael Carrick will probably be the same if and when he loses a game, crashing back down to reality. So it is just best kind of letting it play out, isn't it? Let it play out. When's the next international break? Is that like a month's time? Next international break. I think the next one's it's in March, isn't it? And is that like the last one before the World Cup, something like that? International breaks, March 27th. There you go. No, that's wrong. It's the wrong season. That's why. There you go. March 28th. March 28th is the next international break. So maybe by then, that's like what, about 6 weeks? About 6 weeks' time. I think in about 6 weeks' time, it'll be much, much, much easier to answer that question, won't it? And we've kind of just got to let it play out and continue. I have reservations about quite a few of those international managers as is. I think that Thomas Tuchel, I wonder what would have changed for him in the course of 18 months. Ineos tried to hire Thomas Tuchel to replace Erik ten Hag in 2024 after we won the FA Cup. And depending on who you believe, either Man United turned Tuchel down or Tuchel turned United down, but they tried to both get sort of ahead of that one. I just wonder, with everything that's happened since then, with how the club is run, with Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada sort of being in the air, I wonder what suddenly Thomas Tuchel would change and go, actually, they are a well-run club. I'm going to go to Manchester United. I don't see that. Mauricio Pochettino should be nowhere near the job at this point. His time to become Manchester United manager was like 2018, post Jose, and I think that probably actually was the plan at that point.
Done okay.
There you go.
At Supach 4058 super chatted €5. Same crap with players, hate the big name game, big names mean, if they don't fit and can't get the best of the team.
Well, this is the point, isn't it, as well, isn't it? Is we have tried everything, haven't we? We've tried everything in terms of managerial appointments. We've tried everything with names that are long tenured in the Prem, with David Moyes and are picked by Sir Alex. We have tried, the most experience that you can possibly get, Louis van Gaal. We have tried serial winner, Jose Mourinho, not here for a long time, not here for a good time, just here to win. We have tried, go back to people that understand the club, understand the Sir Alex style, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, maybe not completely qualified, but we'll try that. We've gone with managers with great European reputations, Erik ten Hag, Ruben Amorim. And I think the conclusion of that can be is that it's just a bit of potluck, isn't it? It is. You know what I mean? It is just a bit of potluck. You never know until they come in. And that's also why, maybe this explains sort of my behavior when it comes to Ruben Amorim, is I'm not attached to managers. After the Ten Hag stuff, that was where it was a real line in the sand for me of like, I'm not doing this like parasocial relationship with managers anymore. I'm just not, if they come in and they win and they deliver and they put in performances, then they'll get backed. If they can't deliver results or performances, then they're going to end up going, and it's like, I've said it's like a marriage, isn't it? It's like a marriage of you're always going to it with the best intentions, but sometimes it doesn't work out. There's a reason. What's the percentage that ends in divorce of marriages, right? And as Avalon says there, same with the players. Players is the same thing too. You go into it with the best intentions. You try and do your work as much as you can. Do your due diligence. So, as I said earlier on, you try and reduce the risk as much as you possibly can. But everything's still a risk. Everything's still a gamble. And if it doesn't work out, on to the next. It's cold. It's callous. And we can go, that's not how my club operates. We're not a sacking club. Well, we are. We are a sacking club, unfortunately. And we always were. This narrative that Man United's never been a sacking club isn't true, because prior to Sir Alex, we went through a bunch of managers. You sack people until you find, the person that delivers. That's how it works. Same with the players. We're doing this whole, players 2 years and then you're out. Coaches, it's kind of the same, isn't it? What can you deliver? And it might not be fair and it might be harsh, but football is a results-based business. Why is Michael Carrick currently nominated for the Premier League Manager of the Month for January? Because he won games. If he didn't win games, he wouldn't be nominated for Manager of the Month, and he certainly wouldn't be having this discussion about, him staying or not. If he hadn't won any of these games, or even won, just say one of the games, let's say he lost against City and Arsenal and he beat Fulham, we wouldn't even be having to talk about, he should be Man United head coach next season. No, because it's a results-based business. It always has been, always will be. So, yes, according to Simon Stone, these are the names that may be on the radar, but we shall see. Fleck, you're in. What's going on?
I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood because I've just done a preview. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I've just done a preview with Tobes.
Yes.
And I've brought up the Bruno Fernandes thing. Okay. And he's made me more angry than the first time. Oh, so, yeah, you lot watch it. He's doubled down. James Maddison is better than Bruno. Bruno's not world class. This is what you United fans always do. Just overhype him. He ain't that great. He's a good player. He is a good player. But, I still stand by Maddison's better than him.
Oh, cut off. There you go.
No, wait a minute.
You're back.
Wait a minute.
You're back. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. When I was talking about De Bruyne, You know, I'm saying like people, you know, if Bruno Fernandes played in that City team, your Arsenal team, Real Madrid, like you'd be lauding him, but you just this, that, and the other, and he just started laughing. How can you mention De Bruyne? How can you mention these other top players? Bruno, for no way. I said, mate, he's created the most chances since he's been in the. What are you talking about? And he was like, oh yeah, but it's more than just numbers. I goes, people like you are funny. Take away his goals and assists, then he's this. Then he goes, I'm not doing that, but it's not just about. I goes, tell me what he does better than Bruno Fernandes. He said he's a better dribbler than him. He's a better dribbler. He's a better. I goes, what are you talking about? But anyway, I'm angry at that. You guys check out the preview today at 12. It's honestly.
I know what'll cheer you up. I got something that will cheer you up. This will probably make you a bit, a bit happier. Now I know you've been a bit upset recently about some of the songs that I've been making. You know, you say like, obviously KG's got one. We know Kev Coins.
Yep.
There's Flex, Flip Flop.
It's time for Flex to flip flop.
And you said to me recently, you said, why isn't there one for you, Owen? And well, it's difficult, because obviously I'm writer, producer,
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's fair. That's a fair criticism, that. That's a fair criticism, that one. So I thought I'll go into the studio and I'll make one for me, right? I'll make one for me that sums up my personality, maybe some of my faults, and then we can play that.
How's this gonna go?
So I thought to myself, who is Owen? Who is Owen? What am I? You know what I mean? What represents me? And I think I've got it. You know what I mean? I think I've got it.
Go on.
So this is an exclusive, a new one, the latest release from OWEN Records. Here we go. This is a song about me.
Mini bite man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want the real yard man, a united view. Jamaican king with a vibe so true. Giants come around, but he turns them down. Here for the rhythm, naughty clowns. Let you know why. Ain't his style. He's here to light up the aisle. The king with the crown, so bright, ruling the day and the night. King on the carnival, so grand. A real bad man with command. How when the real white Johnny living his life so hard and free.
It goes on, but it's just that's sums
This
up me.
AI thing.
That sums up
Done
me.
okay.
Yeah, it did do okay.
At Rekal Brown Amory 3,509 super chatted £5. Yes, so in real bad man.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
I'm not gonna lie, that actually slaps. It's pissed me off that you've got something that feels like that should have been my song. Like the beat you've given yourself. This is why I didn't want you making it, because that slaps. That is actually a banger.
Hey, I told you I think I can release an album. You know what I mean? I've got some hits on my hand. I've also just changed TTS. So now when super chats come in, it will do this.
I want the real yard man, a united view.
That's actually a
Kevin
rhythm as
super
well,
chatted $60. This is a test super chat message.
But that's what will happen now.
Oh my god, yeah, we need a drill one. We need to just get you around basically all the music of Black Origin. Shout out Mobos. That's you just need to go around. You need like a neo soul one. Here's what we're gonna do for you then.
Mm-hmm.
You need neo soul. You need
list.
So you need neo soul / soul. You need dancehall. You've got a reggae one there.
Yeah.
You need obviously hip hop / rap.
Yeah.
You need R&B.
Yeah.
You can throw reggaeton in there. I'm not a huge reggaeton fan, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
Afro beats we kind of got with Kev Coins a bit, but I suppose it's part of it. UK garage.
Yes.
Ska, yeah. I would say like dub. I don't know if AI will pick up dub, not dubstep. Like dub is like deep roots reggae. Dub, it's like it's yeah, Amapiano, yeah, definitely. Grime, yeah, definitely. You need a grime one. You need a drill one.
Yeah.
And then 80s soul, rare groove. Maybe say put rare groove. Yeah, jungle, definitely jungle. Yeah, jungle, drum and bass. Yeah, you need one of those.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few for you to get. You can stagger it out. Obviously, there's a lot. It's an album's worth.
It is. You know what I mean? And like any album, you release singles. You know what I mean? As they go on, and then release. Yeah. So it's it's just.
Yeah.
But now I've got
you can start. When you really want to get into it, you go rapping and you go right East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
You know, ATL rap. You know, mumble rap.
Yeah.
You know, alternative rap. You know.
That's me.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well,
and there you go. That cheered you up.
Yeah. Thank you. I needed that because Toby.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then I started, obviously, I was a bit coy of like, I think we're going to beat you. And like, Spurs, I don't think we'll batter you, maybe not. But, then when he's done that, I said, you're going to feel the wrath of Bruno Fernandes tomorrow. You're finished now. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go. But, yeah. I don't know what I walked into as you was kind of, yeah. Obviously, I will say this, of course, Flowers of Manchester. I know you probably started.
Yes, I did, yes.
With that, of course, February the 6th, the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. I think it goes without saying, in it, how important that is of a moment in our history. Yeah. And I always, every time it comes around every year, I always encourage younger viewers and maybe newer viewers or supporters, should I say, if you know of it, but you don't really know exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, the aftermath, the important people like Jimmy Murphy and Sir Matt Busby who helped rebuild the club afterwards, and the players that survived, etc. It really is worth using this time now to do that. There's loads of books. There's loads of YouTube series. We've done some amazing pieces. If you just put in United View, Flowers of Manchester, I've done some great stuff. I've been out to the Munich Platz as well to the crash site. There's loads out there, guys. There's loads out there. It really is such a significant piece of our history, and it shaped what we know as Man United today. It shaped it forever. Sir Matt Busby and those foundations. It shaped sort of how the club would go on to be, to the point where even when Ruben Amorim was like, I don't want to be the guy to mess up the tradition of having a kid on the bench, a youngster on the bench. Like, there's real life stuff that actually really is the DNA of our club. When you talk about United DNA,
resilience, and because that's the ultimate resilience, isn't it? It's having that tragedy, and like you said, the what maybe kind of doesn't get spoken about enough. It's the reaction afterwards. You know what I mean? It's the Jimmy Murphy, picking up what's sort of left of the squad at that point and trying to continue on and what have you. And like you said, there's films, documentaries. I was actually reading on the if you go to the Man United website, they've got like a mini site on there at the moment, and it's got everything you can possibly think of on it. It's very good. So yeah, it's well worth going there and like I said, and checking that all out. So yes, there is going to be, as I said earlier on, a remembrance service at the East End under the Munich clock at Old Trafford today. I think it's at 2:45. They're saying to get there for 2:50, and it's going to go on to 3:15. It's going to be, like I said, a remembrance service. I know Andy Mitten's going to be reading a poem there as well. It's and then of course this tomorrow there'll be a tribute before the game as well.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure you guys are part of that in any which way you can. You've been talking about Man United head coaches.
Yes, I was talking about head coaches. I also, The Athletic have written an interesting piece this morning about Michael Carrick and his start to life at Manchester United, and talking about his relationship with Casemiro as well, which is quite interesting. Saying here that after a few games under Michael Carrick, Casemiro thanked him and said he was feeling like a footballer again. Casemiro has always placed a high value on the need to be respected.
Wow, I wasn't respected before. It was interesting actually, because under Ruben gave him the respect. Yeah, he won it back over, and Ruben gave him a lot of props, and was to the point where he was like, Kobe should be starting, but Casemiro's playing so well, and it was Ruben who was to be fair to Amrim, was like, you know what? Remember, there's always a way back. Look at Kobe, because he was using Casemiro as an example to say, Tony Collier was starting ahead of him, so you can always change things. You do the right thing. So it's interesting that Casemiro seems like he's alluding to he didn't feel respected before, because he says feels like a footballer again. So he wasn't before, and now he is. I mean, the way he's playing is definitely reflected in that. But the way Casemiro was playing without us getting
the real yard man, a united view.
At J.P. 87 TM super chatted £5. How earn the realist bad man?
Didn't really work that, but it's fine.
Yeah, you are the realist bad man, though.
That's true. That is true. That's true. And maybe with the Casemiro thing as well, you mentioned that maybe he feels like a footballer again, because we know how the 3-4-3 under Amrin was maybe a bit of a straitjacket, maybe a bit. I know he spoke about being tactically flexible, but everyone had their instructions, everyone had their roles, what have you. Maybe it is a case of Michael Carrick saying to Casemiro in that midfield, look, I don't need to tell you what to do. I need to tell you how to play football. You're Casemiro at the end of the day. Because sometimes with those big players that have been there and done it, sometimes it is as simple as that with them. Just basically just
simple.
Gas them up, make them feel like, stroke their ego a little bit and just say, look, you're Casemiro, do your game. I don't need to tell you. And particularly with Michael Carrick, with the reputation that he has from his career, as a midfielder, like he knows a good midfielder when he sees one.
Oh,
so I'm sure, So if Michael Carrick, because we kind of forget this, we think about like Casemiro going, look at everything he's achieved. He's not going to be intimidated by anyone. And not to say that he's intimidated by Michael Carrick, but these players, even at this stage, he'll look at someone like Michael Carrick and have a lot of respect for what he did in his playing career. You know what I mean? He'll look at him and go, hey, look, this is a guy that played for all these years at Man United and won Champions Leagues, won Premier Leagues. And there's a level of respect that goes both ways there, isn't it? And you think about his time at Real Madrid, not that Michael Carrick's anywhere near Zidane, but Zinedine Zidane's kind of the same, isn't it? Of just sort of, if Zinedine Zidane says you're good, you go, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah,
he's amazing. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it is just that with the top teams, with top players, tactics are a part of it, but sometimes it's not so much on tactics, it's about managing the people, managing the people and giving them confidence. And one of those people as well that's been managing that is Steve Holland, of course, getting a lot of credit as well. The Athletic also say Manchester United feel they've done well in getting Steve Holland to join the club. Early on, he told United squad they would be fair with all of them, but that he expected hard work, and anybody who didn't fulfill their side of the bargain would be sent back inside. Players were also given homework clips to study on their phones after one of the early sessions, which I think is, kind of par for the course nowadays with professional footballers. So I don't think that's anything too, revolutionary. But that is a man, certainly, that deserves a lot of credit with all this. Obviously, everyone's talking about Carrick, but Steve Holland, as we said at the time, that is one hell of a signing for Manchester United. That will probably go.
Was he just not in work? Was he just because since Gareth left England, he's kind of just not...
I didn't know this, I didn't know this. This is kind of mad. That so obviously hugely successful at club level, particularly at Chelsea, with all of these different coaches, Ancelotti, Conte, Jose, anyone that's basically won a Prem at Chelsea, he was there as the assistant. Goes to obviously England with Gareth Southgate, and look, did well, but maybe could have done better, but did well certainly. And I didn't know that he actually had a manager's job after England, right? In all places of Japan, he was in the J League, and it went terribly.
Oh wow!
it went terribly. I mean, he didn't last very long.
The ones where the news didn't even make it to England.
No, I didn't. No, didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, he did have a managerial job. Maybe he's just best off as an assistant, or maybe that was a bit too much out of the comfort zone, as it were. But look, he's so far so good. And it's one of those ones of him where, regardless of who comes in, you just hope there might even be a conversation of going, can you maybe still have Steve Holland as part of your backroom staff? You know what I mean? That's what he did at Chelsea. You know what I mean? Managers came in and he just stuck around. Why not? Why not keep the same thing of just be like, just stick around? He's a Man United fan, apparently. So why not?
Why not? That's what you want. Exactly. That's what you want. No, I agree. I think he's he gets overlooked, innit, about the job that he's doing, and
wrong one.
the players are talking about how good the coaches have been. Do you know what I mean? How good the coaches have been with the players in such a short space of time, and it's refreshing to see. And I don't think that is the wheel's been reinvented. I really don't. When I look at us play in the 2 games I've seen us in person, obviously the Arsenal game, it's really good being there and seeing it, because you just see the shape off the ball. Obviously, you can see it on TV, but when you're just looking across of what's going on, and it's just really, really simple. Honestly, like the simplicity, that's probably what I'm loving the most at the minute. Obviously, you know, the Cunha and the last minute goals and the excitement and playing attacking football. I love all of that. But I actually love the simplicity of how we're playing, because it's very, very easy on the eye, and it's back to basics. It's having the right players, you know, in the right places. It's making the right subs at the right time. It's understanding our limitations, because you can't just click your fingers and we're not the team that we were the other week. There's certain things you can change very, very quickly. There's certain things you can't. You know, turning us into this all possession team, smothering teams where teams can't get out and everyone doesn't respect us. That has to be earned. That has to be earned. You have to earn that where people come to Old Trafford and they're scared. You have to earn that where people are playing against United and going, right, listen, they've got Cunha, Ahmad, and Mbumo, Kobe, bloody Bruno, and Mbumo. Like, we're going to be under it. Let's just try and keep it tight for as long as we can and nick one against them. You can't do that in 3 games. You can't even probably do that for the rest of this season. So what he's found is this middle ground of, actually, in the last 3 games, if you're an opposition fan, opposition player / coach, you're going, I mean, what you've got to be careful with this Man United team is, no matter where you are in the game, and even if you've scored this, that, and the other, you don't get comfortable. They just got players that can hurt you in the blink of an eye, and they don't give up. They don't just sit back. And, you know, when you see, you know what was nice to see? When, I don't know if a lot of you guys probably would have read it, probably didn't care, but Marco Silva's post-match comments about playing against us versus how it was for him and Iwobi saying stuff when we played them in August, or when was it, September, when we went to the Cottage for that 1-1. Second game of the season, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah.
The contrast of the things they're saying, the VAR thing done us, and we did well against a good team to play like that, but they scored 2 good goals and we couldn't really do it. Just changes, rather than, we knew we'd have loads of space and time in their midfield, so we thought we'd just put 4 there, 2 in there, and you know, it's just not like that. It's not like that. And listen, Fulham played well. That shows you, like, people aren't going to come and just sit back against us, and it'll be the same with Spurs. Although they're shit, like I was just talking to Tobes, like, they have been marginally better in the last couple of games where they're showing a bit in different periods of the game. But if you do your job, I say, if all of our players turn up, that especially the attacking ones, and do what they're meant to.
I want the real yard man, now United view.
That's Supach 4058 super chatted €5. On another episode, we should do a check-off list of what we want in a manager and see which prospect fits best according to fans.
Can certainly be a bit of international break content. That one, certainly. Because I was talking to James about this last night when we were sort of previewing the Spurs game, and I'm being very cautious here because I don't want to go into jinx territory. But on paper, this is like the easiest game out of the last 4, really. It is in football terms, like. You know, because I think we probably were a bit overconfident going into that Fulham game last weekend, because we were like, Fulham, mid-table. We just beat the 2 best teams in the league at home, mid-table side. It'll be easy. We kind of forgot, like, we went into that match in 6th. Fulham were in 7th. They're 1 position below us. Like, and they've got there because they deserve it. So that's a good side. And all of this talk, they're going to play a low block, but they didn't, and they don't really do the whole, you know, low block thing. Now, Spurs, meanwhile, this weekend, this is a team in 14th, right? Who, in these big games this season against the sides in the top 6, they absolutely have been playing low block to the point that it's, you know, really pissing their fans off, because they go 1-0 down after 5-10 minutes anyway, and they just stick to it, and it's just terrible to watch. So I do feel like, actually, of all of the games, if Man United, this is the one where probably we will need to be on the front foot the most, because Spurs most likely will come to Old Trafford and sit off and low block, and the real critical thing I would hope that Michael Carrick would be saying to him is, look, get an early goal, they'll fall apart. They're a low block, but defensively,
Get the first goal.
they're shambolic, and so I'm hoping for a nice dominating performance. Ray Carl's been a member for 30 months, says, hi, Owen, for me, it's very hard with Carrick. He's only got 15 games to coach. Next season is full season. This big difference we need to think about first. This is kind of what I was touching on with the head coach. Some of the names are being linked to it, and I was sort of saying that with the World Cup is such a wrench thrown into all of this, because you can't really, it's not impossible, but if it's announced beforehand, it could destabilize a World Cup, campaign, which people won't be wanting to do. What if one of the coaches we're going for does badly at the World Cup? Then it's like, do we even want him? If they do well, the country want to keep him. So what happens then? And also, this is what we were kind of really discussing last night is, you want to be planning. You want to be planning for next season and the future. And can you do that if someone is focused on something else until maybe like July?
I've been thinking about it. I do think what I have thought about is if Carrick does carry on like this, where it's obviously positive, and we win a lot more games and we get into Europe, into Champions League, I think they just keep him,
I said earlier on, because I asked the question to the chat, who do they think is going to be their first game of next season? And I do think there is an argument to be said that as of today, Michael Carrick is probably the favourite because he's in and not just because he's doing well, but because he's in post. If you're in post, you're the favourite because you've got the best. He's got the best chance to affect the situation, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He's got the best chance to affect the situation. He knows, look, if I just keep winning, it can become undeniable, right?
Exactly.
But if he loses very quickly, he turns into the Middlesbrough head coach that got sacked because they were mid-table, and suddenly it's definitely go get someone else.
Because don't you think it's weird how football works? That again, you have to put the caveat: it's only 3 games, so there's still so many games to go for him to prove it. But the narrative beforehand, and I'm part of it, is like, we can't be giving this job out to guys where this is just too big. Like he's been at Middlesbrough, he's done all right, done a decent job. They sold his best players, then it kind of went to shit. He got sacked. That's Michael. That's his legacy as a coach. We need, Gary Neville was big on it. We need someone big. We need someone serious. I've been on that. I kind of still am, if I'm honest. But like you say, it does change. Of like, just because that happened to you at Middlesbrough, does it mean that you can't be a good manager at this level? Because the early signs would indicate it is different.
What's his? It was
Vincent Kompany.
I think. You look at Company. You look at people like Rafa Benitez, Carlo Ancelotti, and Conte. I think they've all been relegated in their career. You know what I mean? And then after the fact, gone on to be very successful. So just because you fail somewhere, that doesn't mean you can't be a success elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know. It's a difficult one because I think with Carrick, like I said, it's definitely in his hands. What about this scenario? We discussed this last night too. Because of the World Cup and because of the short period of time and just the difficulty associated with that, what if it is a case of they go, right, Carrick, we give you the job, but we're not giving you like a long-term contract. It's like
18 months.
years. Yeah, it's like you said, it's like 18 months, 2 years. And then at the end of next season, we can kind of reassess it. Just out of a case of, because it just might be easier then as opposed to now where it's a bit like, we might want this person, but when are they available?
The only problem is trust. I think that I do think they have to do a permanent, whatever the answer is they want it to be, they have to choose in the summer or before if they think it's going to be Michael Carrick, but that and give the job and give it could. Ruben got 2 years, 3 years. Well, his contract was 3 years, two and a half. So even with a new manager, you don't tend to give new manager. Well, that's your Chelsea and stuff, but getting a new manager and then all of a sudden they've got a 5-year contract straight away doesn't usually tend to happen. That's more of a player thing because if you want to give that flexibility with managers, don't you? Where you go, see how it goes for a season and a half, then we'll extend and so on and so on. I think with Carrick, you can't. I don't think it will look good if you go basically like an interim again, but a little bit more permanent.
Well, maybe this is another reason why he wasn't named as the interim, right? Maybe one because, like we said, because he is the head coach at the moment. He's not the interim head coach. One because it establishes authority, But two, because if there is a thing where it becomes a bit longer term, there's not this perceived jump from interim to official head coach, even though we all know he's the interim, because his deal to the end of the season. I don't know. I think it's still really early days.
It is.
I think I said next international break, which is about 6 weeks' time, we'll know much more about how real that possibility is. Because in 6 weeks' time, it might be Carrick, absolutely no chance. Started great, but fell apart. We've seen managers this season in the Prem have really good starts to the season, then fall apart, right? So there's still. How do you react when you do get the adversity of a first loss, or how do you react when you get the first adversity of a bit of controversy? Because it's always around the corner at Manchester United. How do you react to that? Because that's part of the job too at Man United. Is
exactly.
With all of that.
Exactly. That's what we have to do, and then you have to prove that it was a blip, and because we can still get in the top 5 by losing some games. We are going to lose a game. Well, I think we will. I think we'll lose a game before the end of the season. Who knows? But I think we will. We definitely won't win all of them. So, when we drop points, it's about how you bounce back and what you do. And Max says, I'm tired of us celebrating the start of a manager's tenure because of all the player statements. It happens every 2 years now. Hope it's not new manager bounce and we'll be cussing someone 6 months later. I hear you. It is true. That's why we have to praise it the last 3 games and be, wow, it's so refreshing. This is and enjoy it. But you can't get carried away. You can't say, this is why Carrick's the man. This is why he has to get the job. This is why this is why that. No, this is why we have to wait and see what happens.
But there's a difference. Saying. There's a difference there, isn't there, between, yes, don't get carried away, but also, I suppose, what we need to be careful with is also policing people's enjoyment of these last few weeks. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
You've got to enjoy it.
Because it's been so shit for such a long time. When we are on a run of winning games and we are playing some good football, maybe don't shit on people's enjoyment of it because we've not had a lot to be enjoying. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yes, it's not getting carried away going, Carrick at the wheel, he should be getting the job. But also, if fans want to be like, oh, my God, I'm so happy and, this is really great stuff. And I'm just, well done, Carrick and his coaching staff. I don't know if it's the right thing straight away to be like, well, 3 games, wait, see what happens the next game. You sort of go, well, no, enjoy it.
You got to enjoy it. No, because we've been in the pits of hell for so long.
Yeah.
That's why these 3 games have felt like we've been. That's what's interesting about that.
Paroled, isn't it?
Yeah. and these 3 games, I don't know how you feel, and you guys at home, to me, they've felt like forever. They feel like we've been good for ages now. Yeah, no. It doesn't feel like it's only been 3 games. I feel like this has just been just how good we are. Yeah. We just win all the time. Like you just score goals last minute. But you look, you go, it is literally 3 games.
But look what 3 games can do to the table. That's how tight the league is as well. You win 3 games, and we're like the most informed team in the league, which is crazy as well.
Exactly. Shout out Sausage Burger 549. Become the latest member of UV Members Club. And shout out Mac as well. Not only did he put in a super chat a little while ago. Exactly. Yes, Asher, of course. Yes. But he's also gifted a United View membership. So big up, guys. It is Friday. It is match day. Michael Carrick already did his presser yesterday. That was a bit weird. I don't know why.
Because the memorial service today. That's why it was.
Right, so be busy. Right, okay, that makes sense.
Because he's attending that. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's what it is.
Cool.
This super chat here as well from Sash. Did you read that one out?
I didn't. In my opinion, let's just celebrate what Sir Carrick did well in the last 3 match. Win, but still focus. And more caution of reality of our weak defense. V33 says that we will make Spurs tap out like a little
bitch.
Yeah. Just like that.
Gunther settings. Do you get the reference?
Oh, does he? Oh, I didn't know that. Gunther does.
That's what he says. He says because that's what John Cena did in his retirement. He tapped out.
Like yes, he did. Oh, yes. Okay,
yes.
Cool. Right, I'm with you now.
Okay.
All right, people. It's Friday. That means it's the Trinity later on.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we will see you then. Check out Football Flex. I'm going to do a video. I want you guys' opinion on this. I need your help on this. I'm going to do a video on basically. I think that this is the season. That this is the weekend where Arsenal pretty much win the league. I do. I think Liverpool beat City at Anfield, and Arsenal beat Sunderland at the Emirates, and that would be 9 points. And I just feel like Arsenal won't look back from then. Personally, don't think City.
Well, so you don't. So you're saying Man United aren't going to win the league?
No, I've never said we're going to win the league. We can finish second. I do think that. I got my eyes on second. In cages, I have got my eyes on second. Because like I said, I think that we beat Spurs. I think Liverpool beat City. will be 3 points behind City. They're second. Like, we can do it. Why not? And there you go. But Sausage says, by the way, from Vietnam, glory, Man United. Big up to you, Sausage
There
Burger.
you go. A sausage burger from Vietnam.
Yeah, whatever that would taste like. All right, guys, big up. We'll see you then. Check out Football Flex. And of course, more importantly, check out United View later on today. Myself, Owen, and KG, that comedian, for episode 97, 98.
Yeah, very close. Very close.
Very close. There you go. All right, guys, we'll see you then. Peace.